I saw this flyer from homeless to Harvard, and I said, "Hey, just I'll go for it." For me, it was less about the degrees or the pedigree, and it was more about this was the only option. I was studying to get out of the environment that I was in childhood and adolescence. So I worked hard and I had earned opportunities to do what I'm doing now. But that was the primary motivation.
It seems like someone with your mind, like the world would be open to you where you could have taken pretty much any path you wanted. Why did you choose psychiatry? What was about that?
Yeah, my grandmother told me, she said, "I think you make a good shrink. We're crazy as hell, and you deal with us. So I think that'll be you should look into it." And she wasn't wrong. I think so. Going into medical school, I didn't want to do psychiatry, and this is sort of 10 years ago, 10, 11 years ago, going into medical school. Psychiatry wasn't, it was still the stigma around mental health was bigger than it is now. There was less awareness about it. Like social media wasn't as big, so there wasn't like folks on TikTok or Instagram talking about wellness and those sort of things. So I wanted to be an ophthalmologist, believe it or not, but it was just thinking about the things that I saw, like family members dealing with addiction. Crack cocaine was big in the 90s in my community, in like inner city communities throughout the country, similar to what the how the opioid pandemic has hit rural Americas in the country. So homelessness, psychotic folks, it was just what I saw. And going into medical school, I'm at Harvard, and a lot of my classmates they had an experience being around people who were homeless or had addictions or were struggling to pay rent or just had a lot of issues in those areas. And so, but for me, I was used to that. And it was one of the few areas in medical school where I felt like I had an edge. I didn't have parents who were surgeons. I didn't know necessarily how to navigate professional environments as well as my peers. But talking to patients, in particular patients with dealing with addiction or severe mental health issues, it just felt natural to me because I had exposure just from growing up.